Section 10.7, Example 3 on page 639, we have the proof in problem 2 as a two-column proof, but there are many ways to display a proof. A paragraph proof is written as sentences in a paragraph. Below is the proof from problem 2 in paragraph form. Each statement in the problem 2 proof is read in the paragraph proof. So again, we had that given angle 1 and angle 4 are congruent, we want to prove that angle 2 and angle 3 are congruent. So here we have angle 1 is congruent to angle 4 is given. Angle 4 is congruent to angle 2 because vertical angles are congruent. By the transitive property of congruence, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 3 because vertical angles are congruent, and by the transitive property of congruence, angle 2 is congruent to angle 3. So we pretty much took all the information from our two-column proof and turned it into a paragraph. On page 639, we also have the vertical angles theorem is a special case of the following theorem. Theorem 2 is the congruent supplements theorem. If two angles are supplements of the same angle, or of congruent angles, then the two angles are congruent. So if angles 1 and 3 are supplements, the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 3 have measures that add up to 180, and angle 2 and angle 3 are supplements, so angle 2 and angle 3 also have measures that add up to 180, then angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. So if angle 1 and angle 2's measures are both the missing amount from angle 3's measure to equal 180, then angle 1 and angle 2 must have the same measure. Example 3 says, given angle 1 and angle 3 are supplementary, angle 2 and angle 3 are supplementary, prove angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. So we are going to prove the theorem that we just saw on the previous slide. They started the proof for us with the given by saying angle 1 and angle 3 are supplementary because it is given. We can say, so measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 3 equals 180 by the definition of supplementary angles, because we know the measure of supplementary angles add up to 180. So far, we've only used the first line of the given statements. We also know that angle 2 and angle 3 are supplementary because it is given, so the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 equals 180 by the same definition. Now, by the transitive property of equality, we have that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 3 equals the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3, because both the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 3 equals 180, and the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 equals 180. Therefore, the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 will equal the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3. Notice we have the measure of angle 3 on both sides of this equation, so we can subtract the measure of angle 3 from each side. By the subtraction property of equality, we have measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 2. This is almost what we're trying to prove. So now we can say that angles with the same angle measures are congruent, so angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, and that is what we are trying to prove. The work for this problem is written out on the next two slides. And now I would like you to try homework number 4 on page 640. Fill in the blanks to complete this proof of the congruent complements theorem, theorem 3. If two angles are complements of the same angle, then two angles are congruent. We have given angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary, angle 3 and angle 2 are complementary, prove that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. So they've already written out majority of this paragraph proof, and it is very similar to the proof that we just completed. So you are responsible for filling in the blanks A, B, C, and D. On page 641, we do have 3 more theorems. So the following theorems are similar to the congruent supplements theorem. Theorem 3 is the one that you are going to prove in that U-try. It is the congruent complements theorem. If two angles are complements of the same angle or of congruent angles, then the two angles are congruent. So if angle 1 and angle 2 are complements, meaning their measures add up to 90, angle 3 and angle 2 are complements, meaning the measure of angle 3 and the measure of angle 2 add up to 90, then angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. So these two are going to be congruent. For theorem 4, we have all right angles are congruent. So if angle 1 and angle 2 are right angles, then angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. For theorem 5, we have if two angles are congruent and supplementary, then each is a right angle. If angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, and angle 1 and angle 2 are supplements, then the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 2, which equals 90.